welcome back everyone. Today we are making a peach cobbler. So what you'll want is, you can use frozen or canned peaches, but we're using fresh peaches. You'll want roughly 6 of them, maybe 7, but we're going to aim for 4 cups of sliced peaches. So you'll want to peel these, and one way to easily peel these is we went ahead and blanched these. So boiling water for 1 minute to 2 minutes, and then into ice water, and you can see the skin just peels right off. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so now that we have them peeled, we're going to go ahead and start slicing them just using a paring knife. They are a little bit slippery, so use caution. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but before you blanch, it is helpful to put a small X in the peach. I might have blanched these a little bit too long. You might even want to halve them before you blanch them, but you still get slices here. So we'll go ahead and just slice these up. So I'll keep slicing. Once we have them all sliced, we're going to put them in a saucepan with 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. You can go ahead and use like cane sugar or raw, any kind of sugar that you like. Just make sure it's the equivalent of 1/2 cup of sugar. And then we'll also put a 1/2 cup of water and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. So that should make it easy. It's all halves. 1/2 cup sugar, 1/2 cup water, 1/2 teaspoon cinnamon. So we'll keep cutting and we'll come back to that. Okay, so once you have your peaches sliced, we're gonna go ahead and move those to a saucepan here. One of the nice things is, like I said, you can make this with frozen or even canned peaches if you want, but it's a great way to use up fresh peaches if you have a bunch, if you live in an area where you grow peaches and they're getting overly ripe, or you can just buy a lot when they're cheap and they're getting overly ripe, or you can just freeze them for later. So lots of different ideas. So this is where, again, you'd probably want to measure this to get roughly 4 cups, just so that we have enough to fill our 8x8 baking pan. But otherwise, just rough estimate. You can always do more. You just don't want it to be too overly full, but I'm going to get all the juices in there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab my sugar. So give me 1 second. We have our peaches in the saucepan. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon over this, followed by my 1/2 cup of water. And then I'm also going to add in 1/2 cup of sugar. Sorry, my daughter over here wants to join in talking on the video. So once we put all of these ingredients in here, I'm going to put this over medium heat and then bring it to a boil before reducing the heat and letting it simmer for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, we'll jump over to our dry ingredients. In the meantime, while we're letting that come to a boil, don't forget to stir that fairly often. But I have an 8x8 Pyrex baking dish here. I'm going to go ahead and melt 1/2 stick of butter in there. I'm actually using Country Crock plant butter. Right now we're doing a vegan gluten-free meal. I can't do wheat products, and we found our daughter has a milk sensitivity, so that's why we're doing vegan gluten-free. So you can use pretty much any fat you want. We just found we like the taste of this. So we're going to melt that in the bottom of your baking dish. And then we're going to combine our flours. So we're just using an all-purpose gluten-free flour. And we're going to do 1.5 cups of that into our bowl here. Continue with 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Again, you can use cane sugar or kind of sugar you want. We're just using plain granulated sugar. If you're not a gluten-free person, feel free to use all-purpose flour. If you are using gluten-free, be sure to use one with xanthan gum. You can also make this obviously non-vegan using regular butter. But we did half a cup of sugar. We're going to do a teaspoon and a half of our baking powder here. And so I'm going to have a bunch since I used up my half teaspoon. So I'll do 6 of these 1/4 teaspoons. Five and 6. And then we'll also want to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And obviously you have to adjust a little bit if you're wearing a baby while you're doing this. I'll take her off before I get stuff ready for the oven, but she wanted to be more a part of this. So we have that. The last thing we'll need to add is our milk. So we'll be doing 1.5 cups of, we're using almond milk. You can use regular milk if you want to use dairy. But like I said, we are not, so we're just using you can use unsweetened. We're actually using vanilla almond milk just because we find it goes pretty well in everything. You could also use coconut milk, oat milk, rice, I mean, sky's the limit with this one. But we'll put that in and we'll just mix this up really well. Meantime, don't forget to be stirring your peaches. So we'll mix this up and then we'll check back in once it is mixed here. Okay, you'll want to preheat your oven to 350. Over here you can see we have our tray of melted butter and our mixed batter here. So we're just going to gently pour this in. And you won't want to mix it. We're just going to pour it over the top. You can see it kind of mixes in anyway, but we're just going to dump it in there and go with that. I'm going to go grab a spoon to better get this all out. But we're just, like I said, this is going to be like the biscuit part of it, kind of crumbly, but we're just going to scrape and get this all in here. You can see it's quite a bit of butter. Sorry for the background noise. She wants to be part of it, and I want to get this in the oven. And I'm not going to wear her while I'm putting this in the oven. But once we have all of the dough here, her batter, not mixing, I'm just trying to spread this out a little bit. But then we're going to go ahead and grab our peaches off the stove. And you can kind of see what they look like here. It's kind of dark, but you can see what they look like. So we're just going to scoop out the peaches first. It's almost like an upside down cake. So we're going to scoop the peaches out and layer those in there. And then after we put the peaches in, we're going to come back and pour the juice or the sauce in. And again, you'll just kind of want to spread these out. It should kind of self-level once it's baking. Kind of the fun part of this is the batter will start to come up through the peaches while it's cooking, which is kind of the Cobbler name, I think. I don't know, so don't quote me on that. Again, 350. We'll be cooking this for 35 to 40 minutes at 350. And then you can serve warm or you can let it cool so it solidifies a little bit more. But this just kind of shows you. So hopefully you can make a good gluten-free vegan dessert. I don't think anyone can complain about not or missing out on anything with this recipe. I know that's kind of one of the complaints we get is such a restrictive diet that there's nothing good, and I beg to differ. So we'll just finish this up here, pop it in the oven at 350, 35, 40 minutes. Obviously watch it. If it's way bubbling over, just keep an eye on that. A slotted spoon would probably help this part go faster. But I got all my peaches out, so now I'm just going to dump this liquid on top. Oh, I missed one peach, but so we're just gonna go like that. And now we're gonna go ahead and pop it in the oven, and we'll show you a photo when it's done.